The story begins during a lakeside cabin vacation, when cousins Teresa and Jessica, along with Jessica's new boyfriend, Caleb, encounter a horrific incident. Out of nowhere, Jessica, who appears to be unwell, suddenly attacks Teresa by scalping her, and proceeds to decapitate Caleb. To their shock and horror, Jessica then levitates above the lake, leaving Teresa and Caleb's lifeless bodies behind. The day before, Beth, a guitar technician, pays a visit to her sister Ellie, who is a single mother to 3 children, Danny, Bridget, and Cassie. Beth confides in Ellie about her pregnancy news, and seeks her support. Meanwhile, they are all staying at the Mond Apartments, an old and condemned building in Los Angeles. As fate would have it, an earthquake hits the apartment complex, causing chaos, and revealing a hidden chamber in the basement parking lot. Curious, Danny investigates the chamber, discovering ancient religious artifacts, a peculiar book, and 3 phonograph records from 1923. With hopes of helping his struggling family, he takes the book to his room, planning to sell it. Upon listening to the records, they learn of the book's true nature. It's one of 3 volumes of the Naturam de Monto. The first record details the failed attempts of a priest to study the book. The subsequent record reveals that the priest continued his research in secret, and summons demonic entities, known as deadites, through an incantation. The power outage in the building leads to a terrifying turn of events, as a possessed and isolated Ellie is attacked by an unknown entity. In a trance-like state, she returns to her apartment and starts threatening her family in a menacing manner. Despite their attempts to reach out to her, Ellie dies after making a heartfelt plea to Beth to protect her children. Beth, along with the help of the neighboring residents, lays Ellie to rest in her bedroom and tries to find a way out. Unfortunately, they discover that the staircase has collapsed, the elevator is damaged, and the fire escape is inaccessible. As the situation worsens, Ellie comes back to life and launches an attack on the family, injuring Bridget in the process. In a desperate attempt to save themselves, Beth and the children lock Ellie out of the apartment after she viciously murders the neighbors. Danny finally confides in Beth about discovering the Naturam de Monto. However, things take a turn for the worse when Ellie tricks Cassie into unlocking the door and attacks her. As Danny and Beth try to rescue Cassie and lock Ellie out of the apartment, Bridget becomes possessed through her injury. Bridget launches a surprise attack on Beth, and in the ensuing chaos, Danny and Cassie inadvertently impale her through the head with a broken broom handle while defending themselves. Desperate for a solution, Beth turns to the third record, hoping to find a way to exorcise the demonic deadites. However, she learns that the priest and his allies had failed in their attempts, and all of them were ultimately possessed. The only way to stop the deadites was through complete destruction of their host. As the situation spirals out of control, Bridget revives and fatally stabs Danny. In his dying moments, Danny sets Bridget on fire before Ellie sneaks into the apartment through the vents. Ellie, realizing that Beth is pregnant, attempts to harm the unborn child by ripping it out of her. However, with the help of Cassie, Beth manages to subdue Ellie with a pair of scissors. Cassie remains steadfast in her resolve and refuses to be emotionally manipulated by Ellie. She accepts the grim reality that her mother is already gone and that they must do whatever it takes to survive. As the possession spreads, Danny and the neighbors' bodies come back to life, forcing Beth and Cassie to take refuge in the damaged elevator. However, the 3 possessed members of the family, Ellie, Bridget, and Danny, fuse together to form a grotesque creature known as the Marauder. The Marauder climbs onto the roof of the elevator, and the elevator begins to fill up with blood. The increased weight causes the elevator to plunge to the ground floor, giving Beth and Cassie a chance to escape into the parking lot. But the Marauder isn't done yet. It captures Cassie and tries to kill her with a chainsaw. Beth returns to distract the monster, and together, she and Cassie manage to overpower the Marauder and force it into a wood chipper. As Ellie's decapitated head taunts Beth, Beth decides to prove it wrong by kicking Ellie's head into the wood chipper as well. In the end, Beth and Cassie escaped from the building alive, having defeated the demonic forces that threatened their lives. The next morning, Jessica steps outside into the parking lot, ready to start her vacation. As she walks towards her car, she feels a strange presence around her. Suddenly, an unseen force attacks her, knocking her to the ground.